Hello, hello, hello. We made it past the Cantos. We are past the Cantos, everyone. This is pretty big. And with that, we're going to be covering Don Quixote's base ego, La Sangre De Sancho. But I'm not 100% sure if she's the next sinner in line, but a lot of people seem to think so, so that's my best guess, and I'm going to run with it. La Sangre De Sancho is Don's base ego, so it's a Zayan. It has a 12 base with a plus 14 roll, does piercing damage, has attack rate of 1. So, they're already starting off. A 26 roll is pretty decent for a base ego. It's not the best, but I'd say she's about the high end. And inflict 8 bleed on hit, and heal yourself by 50% of damage dealt on hit. So, I'd say this is a very, very, very useful ego. Just because you can deal a bit more bleed, which, keep in mind, this is one of the few egos that did bleed since base, but this is also one of the few egos that heal yourself, and this has been here since base, so it's a fairly good base ego, at least for the on-hit effects. The passive of this ego, Immoderate Passion, on hit if the target had bleed, healed by 3 HP. Now, if the target had bleed, so this you're going to be having to have bleed on the enemy beforehand, which you're going to be doing on hit, but if you're running a bleed team and you have this passive going, healing 3 HP per hit, no caps, is actually going to be quite insane if you're running a Bleeding Dawn solo. But if you're not doing that, it's still a fairly good passive, especially for a base ego. And, well, like all base egos, it's going to cost 10 sanity, and have both the average being 4 cost, which is 2 lust and 2 pride. So, that's pretty good cost. Some of them cost, like, a little bit more than that, but those are mainly for the AoEs. So this is a, well, pretty good cost. A pretty good cost being followed up by a pretty bad resistances, but you can't really blame that on this ego in specific because all Zayans have pretty bad resistances. This case is being Fatal to Wrath, Endured to Lust, and Fatal to Gloom. Since this ego does not have any corrosions, I suppose we can move to the drip. And talk about the drip, there's only the Awakening. And the Awakening is honestly pretty decent for a base ego. Most base egos aren't too crazy, as I've said before, but this one's pretty nice as it gives her a cape, some armor, and some shoes. So that's pretty generous for a base ego. So I gotta say, I'll give it like a 3.5. Yeah, that sounds about right for the drip. The strength of this ego is not going to be that high. I hate to say it because it's a Zayan, it's a base Zayan, it's not going to roll too crazy. 26 isn't bad though, right? That's pretty decent for just a roll. So I guess I'll give it a 2.5, maybe 2.7 is more accurate. So it's almost a 3, but it's not quite because I'd be doing a little bit too generous to this ego. But this ego is actually very useful, inflicting some bleed, which is nice, but having your on hit be heal 50% of damage dealt could be massive, especially if you have fragility on the enemy or you're being buffed by some sort of ally or passive. And your passive is also very useful, so you can heal 50% of damage dealt and you can heal an extra 3 health. Or if you're using a skill that has multiple coins, like let's say Rip Space, you Rip Space them and you're going to be healing like 3 and then 3 and then 3 and then 3. And well, maybe it's 5 coins. So if that's 5 coins, then it's going to be 15 health being healed, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it will add up. Don't worry, it will add up, which makes it pretty useful. So I'll give that like a 6, right? Or yeah, a 16 is pretty good. It's not too crazy, but it is really useful for a Zayan. That's about all I can say for this ego. It's pretty useful. It's not too good, but it's not bad. So far, Dawn looks like she might have a promising pool of egos, and I can't wait to see if I'm right, but that I have to wait until tomorrow. So, have a good one.